Welcome along to Monday morning's Paper Talk, where we'll look through some of the major stories across the back pages.
Yes, and to do so, we are joined by the Times chief sports reporter, Martyn Ziegler. Very good morning to you, Martyn. How are you?
All good, thank you very much. Looking forward to the heat wave.
Yeah, I hope you've got a good fan in there.
Well, yeah, I probably need to go out and get one. It's, but I guess I've missed out because I'm sure they'll all have gone.
Nah, Martin's got loads of fans. Bella, what are you on about? Right, the events at St Andrews are dominating the back pages, including the Sun. They not only look at Cameron Smith's victory ahead of Rory McIlroy, but also reflect on the continuing division over the Live Series, which could cost Henrik Stenson the Ryder Cup captaincy. I've got the story in front of me here, Martin. Tell you what we'll do. We'll start with what is, you know, the actual golf and start with the positive and Smith's final round. Can you think of a better final round in a major?
No, it was absolutely incredible, wasn't it? And I mean, Rory McIlroy, he'd done everything right. You know, he'd kept his cool. You'd have thought any other Open, any other major, he would have done enough to see through. But then Cameron Smith just came up this incredible round, didn't he? 64, 5 birdies in a row. There's just no answer to that. It's just one of those things you have to say it's somebody else's day.
What do you think went wrong for McIlroy, Martin? Because he's just narrowly missed out again. It's just heartbreaking for him. What is it, do you think, that went wrong?
It was tiny fractions, wasn't it? It was, you know, we're talking about, you know, those putts that missed by just a couple of centimetres. On another day, maybe one or two of those would have gone in and it would have been a different story. So I don't think there's anything sort of he can blame himself for. Or, I mean, you know, obviously golfers are perfectionists and they're always looking to improve. But I just think it's one of those times when he had to look at Cameron Smith and the opposition and say, look, you know, this guy was unbeatable on the day.
Yeah, unbeatable on the day, and talk now that he might join the Live Tour, which we'll have to talk about now. It just seems to be getting messier and messier, this story, and particularly with Henrik Stenson. If he is willing to give up the Ryder Cup captaincy, which we haven't had confirmed yet, but if he's willing to give that up to join the Live Series, surely that means that every golfer is thinking, well, if he's willing to do that, there's nothing stopping me.
Well, I mean, there are still some big names like McIlroy who are very, very opposed to it. So, I mean, we are heading towards a massive split, I think, because I don't think the Ryder Cup is going to entertain people joining the breakaway and then staying with them, not unless there's some sort of court victory by Live Golf. So it's a serious crisis for the game, but you can see why people are joining, because Cameron Smith, his prize money for winning was $2.5 million. You get $4 million just for winning one of the tour titles for Live Golf. So financially, for golfers, especially towards the end of their career, you might say, it's a no-brainer.
We're going to move on to The Guardian now, Martin. There's a look ahead to Wednesday's Euro 2022 quarter-final between England and Spain. It's Karen Carney's column, actually, and the former England midfielder suggesting that Serena Wiegmann's side are going to face a much different challenge in Brighton. Now, she does say that the momentum's growing, that they're not going to be worried about facing Spain, but as we're into the quarters now, do you think the pressure is starting to ramp up a bit on England?
I mean, the way they've handled that pressure so far has been sort of remarkable. I mean, the Norway match in particular, in Norway, a really, really good team. And England beat them 8-0. But Spain is definitely a different proposition. They are sort of the coming team, perhaps, of women's football in Europe. Without their best player, however, Spain, so Alexi Putellas, who suffered an ACL just before the tournament. Yet they've shown that they're a really, really strong, determined side. And I think it'll be a different task for England, because I think Spain will probably dominate possession, and that's something Karen Carney refers to.
And in terms of how the tournament's been so far, if you think back to the men's team in 2018, getting to the semi-finals of the World Cup and then getting to the final of the Euros last year, and the whole nation was swept by this kind of football mania. How happy are you to see that same kind of thing happening this summer with the women's Euros?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fantastic tournament so far, and I think the interest is building. And I actually think they will get all the way to the final. They won't have to face France or Germany, the two other strongest teams on paper, until the final. So the way the draws worked out has been pretty good. So I can see we could have another Euro final like we did with the men's, and I think that will just drive interest even further.
Yeah, if we move on to your home patch, because I've got the Times in front of me here, and Paul Hurst has spoken about Manchester United's rising stars. Particularly, he's talking about Zidane Iqbal, and he's getting rave reviews from their pre-season tour.
Yeah, so this is a 19-year-old, played along with Charlie Savage, Robbie Savage's son, for Manchester United against Melbourne Victory, and Zidane Iqbal. He was named man of the match, quite overwhelmingly. Played some really, really skillful touches in midfield, including a Zidane-like turn, I noticed, actually, and the sort of 360-degree spin. So it's in terms of Ten Hag and how he's going to bring players on, I think it's going to be important that getting the Manchester United academy delivering again is one of his most important tasks.
Yeah, I think when your name's Zidane, you're bound to make it as a footballer, aren't you? I might try that tactic in the future. But Martyn, just what are the benefits of seeing players from different backgrounds and ethnic minorities making it at the top level? We talk a lot about this, and here is someone playing for Manchester United now.
Yeah, I mean, there's been the number of British South Asian players playing in professional football in England is very, very small. It doesn't reflect the population. It's something like 7% of the population of England are from British South Asian heritage. But in professional football, it's something like 0.25% of players only. So there's a big gap there. Zidane Iqbal, the first British South Asian player to play for Manchester United. He played in the Champions League last season, came on briefly. So I think he says he doesn't want to be seen as a role model particularly, but I think he is. And it should have been inspiration to other people from Pakistani, Indian, Bangladeshi backgrounds that, look, you can make it as a professional footballer in England.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he absolutely is already a role model. We're going to move on to the Daily Mail now, where there's been a follow-up to that interview that former Wales captain Ryan Jones gave to the Sunday Times, revealing how he has been diagnosed with early onset dementia at the age of just 41. The Daily Mail is looking at today what's been described as a ticking time bomb in the sport, Martyn. I mean, this is incredibly brave of Jones to come forward, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the sight of some of these rugby players who not too long ago will remember, actually playing, and to be diagnosed with this early onset dementia at such young ages is very, very worrying from the sport. So there's not just the legal action which rugby union is facing, because Steve Thompson, the Rugby World Cup winner from 2003 for England, and other players have joined this joint legal action. So it's probably the most serious challenge that rugby faces of all, not just the legal implications, but the health implications and trying to make the sport safe.
41, that's the thing that shocked everybody, all right? When you think of dementia, you don't think of someone who's only 41 years old. Could this stop parents, could make parents stop their kids playing rugby until serious changes are made?
That is, I mean, I've spoken to people in the sport who that is their big worry, and that's why they've brought in a lot of changes at youth level to try and protect children from having this heavy contact, for example. And so training is very, very restricted in terms of the amount of contact you can do when you're a child player. But it's a worry, because any parents seeing this sort of story will question, is it safe? What do we do? Is it just a professional game? How big a problem is it going to be if my child plays throughout, and grows up playing throughout his or her teens?
Martyn, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, to have you on the show. Thank you ever so much. Stay cool, as you already are, and we'll speak to you soon.
Great stuff, guys. Thank you.